Made at a cost of around $6.5 million, Gatsby was considered to be too pricey for its market, a film that would probably fail at the box office. In fact, it was a hit. It made money and it won 2 Oscars, one for Nelson Riddle's contribution to the music and another for its costume design. In fact, nowadays, that version of The Great Gatsby is sometimes best remembered for its costume design. It set a whole fashion trend in motion.
Interesting. We'll get on to the Turnbull and Asser bit, because there's a great scene in the film where Turnbull and Asser is very noticeable, probably before product placement was a thing, maybe, in terms of...
Right.
Well, maybe we'll just touch upon this now very quick. Jovan, we'll get to you in a sec. But there's the moment where Robert Redford is flinging the clothes across the room. And then you notice, and then Mia Farrow is in bits. Oh my God, I've never seen such beauty. And you have the Turnbull and Asser boxes that are in the wardrobe there. So this is where Turnbull and Asser come in. Do we know what the shirts are in the archive, as in terms of, do we know anything about it? Because Ralph Lauren did the suits and some of the clothes for the film, but we know for certain that Turnbull and Asser did these shirts.
Yeah, I mean, in some of the shirts, it's very kind of straightforward. It's like, okay, so these are silks in various colors, candy stripes, bangles. There's a scene with Robert and Mia Farrow lounging in his on his lawn, and he's wearing just a very classic navy candy stripe shirt, and so these kinds of very wonderful classic staples of good menswear. In the book, film, etc., he very specifically says that his shirts are from England. He has a man in London who buys him clothes twice a year, and so it's very appropriate that a clothier like Turnbull and Asser would be who would supply his shirts. Very much, kind of like, in the Bond tradition, it's very appropriate that a brand like Turnbull and Asser would dress Ian Fleming and, by extension, James Bond. So the brand was just a natural fit. It very much was like a early version of product placement, for sure, with the boxes there. It was a part of the deal, as it were. And of course, quite famously, the story was that we produced all these shirts in poplin cotton, and they went to fling them in the air and nothing happened. Which is true. If you fling a poplin shirt, nothing will generally happen. It will not float and make Mia Farrow cry. So
what will it do? Just sink to the ground like a...
Pretty much. I mean, like, if you really want an example, I did actually just have like a random shirt, just so you could see the collar a little bit better. This is, again, one of my own versions of shirts, so the collar is a little taller than what was seen and done, but it's a very generous curve, a nice kind of deep club collar style. So basically, when they found out that the shirts were very, rather flaccid, as it were, they remade all the shirts in generally silk. Some perhaps like very lightweight linens as well. And the buttons were weighted so that the buttons would have something to do, and would actually force the fabric to move, because the general construction is mother of pearl buttons. That's, standard in any well-made shirt from, Turnbull, Charvet, etc. They're notoriously light. They're not meant to create any kind of tension on the fabric and therefore the body. Well, that's all well and good when you're wearing shirts, but not when you're filming them.
Yeah, not when you're throwing them at Mia Farrow like you're about to do. People should tune into the YouTube channel. Daniel's about to launch a shirt.
Oh yeah, I'm just going to go into the bedroom and just start tossing shirts.
So they added a bit of weight to them to give them a bit of character in the air.
That's correct. Okay. Yeah, and so you had to change the fabric in order for that would be more appropriate, and a good little wind machine. Let's be clear, because So in order to make them flutter and luster, I mean, and to be fair, silk shirts were worn by Robert Redford in the film, so it's not like they cheated necessarily like with the character, if that makes any sense. You know, like it is, you know, the character really did wear a silk shirt, you know, silk shirts in the film. So multiple times, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, so like the blue shirt that was worn with the white suit, that's silk. I believe there was like a white on white stripe that was silk. So you know, a lot of people don't actually know that silks come in multiple fabrics. We just don't really know because we don't really wear silk anymore like that because it's so expensive.
Yeah. Jovan, I know you made a whole ream of notes there. In the last 5 minutes, did you have anything else you wanted to tap on?
Oh gosh. One thing that really struck me is Tom's navy blazer at one point.
Yes, party.
Yeah, it has 8 buttons with 4 to close, and it kind of reminded me of Prince Charles's own navy blazer, which is actually 8 buttons, but only has 3 to close. And honestly, I thought that was one of the most 20s looking jackets I saw in the movie, just because the lapels were a bit narrower, you know, the high buttoning and everything like that. And I just thought to myself, well, why couldn't they have made most of the clothes more along that line? Because God, yeah, like we said earlier, the most of the suits and tailored jackets just scream 70s, you know. And the shirts were probably the most accurate thing about the film, the menswear in the film, honestly.